If you are following what is happening in Uganda, especially the rising tension between the Balaalo cattle pastoralists and the Acholi from northern part of Uganda, you could definitely by now know that this rising tension has finally reached to its peak. It's so sad that the deadline for these Balaalo people to leave northern Uganda together with all their cattle finally came so quickly, and I hope this does not escalate into something bigger than this. According to Acholi, many of these pastoralists from western Uganda, they moved into this region over the last couple of years. Some came through the land leases, others were brought in by the powerful individuals, and some just showed up and started using the land. But according to the Balaalo people, argue that they did not invade northern Uganda. They came through legal channels, often leasing land from the local Acholi owners or leaders. They even paid for this land, signed agreement. What is happening now, according to the Balaalo people, is just because some of these landowners are changing their mind due to political pressure, or it's just hatred because of how they're doing their things. But let me give you a backdrop of this story. The movement of the Balaalo to the northern part of Uganda, particularly into Acholi, Lango and Teso sub-region, began gaining momentum in the early 2000s, shortly after the end of the major conflicts that was between the government and the LRA. As peace gradually returned to the north, land that had long been inaccessible due to insecurity was once again open but vulnerable. Meanwhile, in western Uganda, the population pressure, land scarcity and overgrazing had made it harder for the Balaalo to find adequate pasture. Additionally, some wealthy individuals began acquiring large herds and sought expansive land outside their home areas. The relative abundance of land in the north, much of it customarily owned but not formally titled, made it attractive destination for this group, and that's how they found themselves in northern part of Uganda. Some Balaalo people believe the narrative against them is being politicized, and this is only to score local political points, and this they really blame the leaders for turning everything against them after them acquiring the land through legal methods, and they have the full right as Ugandans to settle anywhere in this country as long as it is within the boundary of Uganda, and this is stipulated into the constitution of this country. But why all this happening to them? And I hope this does not graduate into something so worse than this. So let's put ourselves into both shoes, starting with the Balaalo people. The government has now told the Balaalo to leave northern Uganda, to evacuate the land they are occupying in places like Acholi. But here is what a lot of people don't realize. Some of these herders actually bought this land. Others entered with signed lease agreement from the local landlords, and some of them, especially the younger generation, were born here. This is the only time and this is the only place they call home. It's the only home they have known for all these years. Now they are asking themselves, where do we go? What happened to our cattle? What happens to the money we invested? Imagine living somewhere for about 10-15 years, building a home, raising a family, grazing animals, and then one day you are told you are illegal. Pack and leave. I spoke to one of the Balaalo elders yesterday, and he told me we are not fighting anybody. We did not come here with the intention to fight. We came here with cows, the contract and the hope. If we are being sent away, at least let us be treated like human beings. Let's be treated with dignity. It's a lot of injustice in both sides. Yes, the Acholi people feel they are being displaced again, and that must be addressed. But at the same time, some Balaalo families now feel like refugees in their own country because they are claiming the constitution allows them to settle anywhere. If you know Balaalo so well, you know they have so many heads of cattle, and this is not just in measure of wealth, but it's a pride of their identity, and whoever tries to mess with their cows becomes an enemy immediately. But for Acholi people, land is also identity, and whoever tries to take the ancestral land will really be playing with fire. So putting these two in one community is just a very miscalculation. Let's flip to the other side, the Acholi people, the indigenous custodians of this land. To understand their frustration, you have to go back a bit. During the LRA war, the Lord Resistance Army, which was by Joseph Kony, most of the Acholi population were misplaced into the camps. For over decades, many families lost access to their land, not because they sold it, but because they were running for their dear lives. And when they returned, only to find in their absence someone else had moved in. Fences up, cattle were grazing, homes had been built. For many Acholi, this wasn't just shocking, but it was really devastating. They feel they are being dispossessed all over again, this time not by the warlords, but by economic encroachment, backed by money and connections, and sometimes even corrupt officials. They are asking, where are these people coming from? Who gave them access to their land? The Acholi people are crying out loud. We are not against the Balaalo people. We are just trying to be honest. You can't just walk into somebody's territory, build a kraal and call it yours. We are not revenging or we are not fighting you. It's just a moment that we want to restore our land and taking back what is ours. This is the only thing we need. We don't hate Balaalo and we have nothing against them. They are always welcome here if they have legal procedure to acquire the land, especially the commercial plot that allows anybody to settle in. But you cannot come and fence 3 miles of land within our territory and you start calling it yours. Here is the simple truth about the whole situation, and yeah, it might sting a bit, but let me just open my mind and say it as it is. The Acholi people, Jal, how do you expect serious development when the land is owned by everyone and no one is really responsible and no one can do anything with it? I mean, this system of communal land ownership where the land belongs to the clans, not even individuals, might have worked hundreds of years ago before modern economics, before investment, before title deeds and banks came to play. But now, it's holding everyone back. Think about it. If you want to build a school, a factory, or get a loan to start a business, well, you have the money now. But because you don't have the title deeds, because you don't have the land, and the land belongs to everybody, and they say what belongs to everybody belongs to no one, then you are so limited. You cannot do anything with it. Meanwhile, someone like Balaalo comes in, they have cash, they lease the land, and they build, graze, and they move forward. Then you as Acholi people, you start say they are grabbing our land, you need them out, Balaalo must go. You start singing and lamenting. And this is really something that you have to think about it. As the northern people, you really need to ask yourself, does the old way still work? Can we modernize without losing our identity? Because you claim that land is your identity. And what is the cost of standing still while others are moving forward? You need to really ask yourself, and you think about it. You don't get stuck in the past. Some of those systems worked hundreds of years ago, but right now it might not probably work in your favor. And let's be real about the Balaalo too. You are moving around with hundreds of cows, sometimes thousands of cattle, crossing from one region to another, settling anywhere there is a green grass. But let me ask you something. What are you actually producing with your cows? How do you keep that much livestock yet there is no dairy factory, no beef processing plant, no real investment that is uplifting the local people? You are just proud of having so many cows and you don't care about the damage it's bringing into people's garden and people's home. You just want cows. So primitive, if you ask me. You bring in cows, they graze, they deplete the land, then you move on, leaving behind bare soil, broken fences and conflict, and you don't care about whatever damage that you have left behind. And that's not development, it's just roaming wealth that benefits very few and destroying a lot of property in the country. You say you have a right to settle anywhere in the country. Yes, it is in the constitution of Uganda that any Uganda can settle anywhere he or she wants. But let me ask you something. Imagine yourself being a landlord and a man walks into your compound saying he needs a house to rent. You as a landlord, because you have the house, and you say, yeah, I have a house, 1-bedroom house to rent. The guy pays the money for the rent, let's say for a year, and you're proud this guy is really responsible. But a week later, this guy moves in with 17 children and 2 wives in this 2-bedroom. You as the landlord, what exactly would be your response? And this is the same situation with the Balaalo people here before they moved in northern Uganda, because some of them came innocently and the people never knew they could bring hundreds of cattle along with them. This is exactly what is happening. I know there will be little or even more hatred between the people from western Uganda and northern Uganda. But hey, let's not just pretend this chaos is happening in a vacuum. Let's not act like Balaalo just fell from the sky or Acholi just woke up hungry. This world conflict is a symptoms and signs of silence, weakness, and a policy failure from the government side. For years, the government has known about the land disputes, grazing migrations, and the illegal leases, the tension building up between communities. But what do? Nothing. When the Balaalo started arriving, no proper vetting, when the land started being sold or leased under suspicious circumstances, no investigation was even done. When the Acholi raised alarms, they were ignored, they were told to calm down. And now, after years of negligence, the government silently comes in and say, any Balaalo in the northern part should vacate. Just like that? No plan for relocation, no compensation, no legal follow-up on who allowed them to come at the first place. Not even accountability was given. That's not leadership, that's reactionary panic, in my opinion. And let's be clear with Uganda for a moment. Uganda has no clear national grazing policy, no proper zoning of agricultural area and pastoral land, no investment in modern ranching system. The government hasn't created system where any of these terms mean anything in law. So what do we have? Clan fighting herders, districts issuing conflict statements, MPs politicizing issue, and the government that only shows up when it's almost too late. It's time for the government to stop being a referee with no whistle. We need real policy, not press conference. We need planning, not panic, and we need leadership that understands. I know Balaalo people. I've lived with these people for some time. The Balaalo people are not evil people. They are proud pastoralists. To them, cattle is life, wealth, and heritage. But to my people, the Acholi people, and even the Langi or the Teso, land and crops are life. then cattle roam freely and eat those crops, trust me, you have a problem with them. It's a family food, it's a future that you are playing with. This is an inheritance. I just have a problem with people who facilitated the migration of the Balaalo into northern Uganda. They really fail to know the basic truth. You cannot mix the cattle herding culture where livestock roam freely with crop farming culture where land must be protected unless you have strict rules, clear boundaries put in place and mutual understanding. But should you fail to address that, then you're always sowing seed of hatred, or you are just giving them recipe for conflict. The truth of the matter is that Acholi people are really loving people. They are so welcoming and they don't hate the Balaalo people. And the Balaalo, to be honest, these guys are just nice. They don't have any problem with Acholi. They are just friendly to live with. But what is standing in between these two communities is the land and the cows. If these two can be put aside, these people can just live together with each other, no problem. But now, how do we address this big issue? The Balaalo holds so dear their cows, and the Acholi can never be separated from the land. We need a solution here, and you can be part of this if you give us your thought.